We were just chatting, Kelly and I, and he mentioned that he goes, and it's a blessing and a curse. And whenever I hear that, I like know it. And I also know that like no one can always just go. So, first of all, hello, Kelly Siegel.
Hello, my dear. It's an honor to be here, and it's so good to see you. And we've talked several times, but I never get to see your beautiful face. And
Thank you.
I just, it's very awesome how social media connects souls together. And every time we have these conversations, they're deep and meaningful, and we get something out of it. It's just not superficial, and I love it. And I'm looking forward to wherever we go on this podcast today.
Well, welcome to the Live Young podcast. I'm so glad you're here. We were introduced by a mutual, Tara, and then just some sort of alignment, when, as you said, when you meet people, even though, I think social media is a blessing and a curse too, because it connects people, but it's also, it's something you can really get sucked into if you're not, I think, like conscious around how you use it and how it uses you. But I think it's been such a gift in the way that we've been able to connect thus far. So thank you for being open to a conversation. Kelly wrote a book called Harder Than Life, and I was just sort of reading into it. I haven't read the whole thing. And so much of what you share via your social platform is about, I mean, as you've shared with me, really love and not getting caught up in the minutia. And that's such a beautiful thing to hear, considering your story is really about getting lost in minutia, in big things, but also like getting sucked into substance abuse and violence and being able to like bring yourself out of it and now just like be in the world, not only as you are, but teaching others how to come from a place of love too, I think is really beautiful. So Harder Than Life is what the book is called. Just like high level, not even what the book is about, but like why? Like, what does that mean? What does Harder Than Life mean?
Well, what they say that you write and you're writing your book, so they say that you write the book that you needed as a child. And I wrote the book that I would have fast tracked myself.
Mhm.
Um, and really I just wanted to show that impossible only describes the degree of difficulty. And to me, when we were bantering around names with the publisher, we were just trying to talk about adversity and resilience and grit, and nothing embodied that as much as Harder Than Life. I literally, everything I've done has been harder than life. But the next book title may be Easier Than Life, because it's been 5 years now on this Harder Than Life journey, and boy, life's getting pretty easy. And I'm not kidding. There's still ups and downs. Life is a roller coaster. If not, it'd be flat and you'd be dead. I'm definitely off of that life merry-go-round. I've puked enough times that I wanted off of that. And I just wanted to show people that an average Joe like me, who's not the smartest guy, not the biggest guy, not I'm not the best at anything, but with the consistency and discipline come from terrible upbringings, can make something in this world. And I don't mean just monetarily. I was monetarily successful when I was a dirtbag,
Mm.
but now I'm making more money, proud of who I am as a father, as a leader, as a businessman, as a philanthropist, as a friend to you and everybody else. And honestly, when you just said that, that the Harder Than Life is a love, embodies love, that just made me warm inside, because that's exactly what I'm aiming to do. I want to pour so much love in this world that we have no, especially with what's going on overseas right now. It's we need more love in this world, and that's the answer to everything. Love and communication. But if it starts with from a loving perspective, it's got nowhere to go but good.
Yeah, I love that you like receive that. And similarly but different in a way, like I live the message of love too, and I think like Harder Than Life, Kelly Siegel, Olivia Young, Live Young to me really means loving yourself. And I think what your book speaks to is your journey, and it doesn't speak this directly, but what I take from it is like how you learn to love yourself. And I also love your reference on maybe the next book will be Easier Than Life, because there's something about the word hard to me that's almost triggering, because for the majority of my life, I chose hard. Even though I didn't think that I was doing that consciously, I was choosing hard. So, and when I think about like Goggins and like be hard, stay hard, I think what actually is the answer is softness. I think that love wins. I think being soft, like being so connected to your life that you can like literally melt into everything, because I think that's when the flow comes. And that was what my business spoke to, like flowing through the fight, finding ease. And what you said about softening and things are even getting better for you and easier for you, I think it's because in a way you faced yourself and now you have opened up to the flow and like the abundance. So I'm curious, this idea of self-love, like everything was harder than life and bigger than life and dirtbag and whatever, your words. What does it feel like in your life now? Like, where does this self-love piece, how does that look to you, feel to you? What is it for you?
Well, first of all, I wanted to, it's so weird. You're like in my head.
Mm,
I've talked a lot about in many podcasts about softening, and you just used that word again. It's as if you're in my mind. Hard, it was a defense mechanism. It was a survival mechanism. It's
mm,
how I got through life. And even when there were no threats, when I had started making it, quote unquote, making it in life, and I perceived everything as a threat. So I would come at it very rough and rugged. So some of my mentors say that, listen, you're never going to be soft. Well,
mm.
let's just work on making you softer.
Yeah.
So maybe softer than life will be the next book. But how does life look now? It's peaceful. It's freeing. It's full of love and abundance. And there's no chaos, and it has meaning and purpose and intention. So at the end of the day, I think that success is being in perfect alignment with the person you want to be and the person you are.
Mm,
That's how I feel right now. And I say to myself all the time when I look in the mirror, how good can you handle life? Because it still keeps getting better.
mm,
I'm 5 years into this journey, and I can't imagine what another 5 years of doing this is going to do. And I'm loving the process. I call it a crusade. I guess I'm loving my crusade, because the goal here is to donate $1 million per year to charity from the Heart of the Life name.
it's
And
beautiful.
we're 9 months into this, and we've just started monetizing it. So it takes what 80% of the space shuttle's fuel to get 300 feet off of the launching pad. So we've been using all of it, and
Mm,
we're this close to monetizing majorly. Got some sponsors that are lined up, and we're going to meet those goals, and then we'll smash those and move the goal post and enjoy every minute of it. And that's leaving a legacy. It gives your life purpose.
Yeah. I mean, in that, if you're listening and you identify with the word hard, like we both do, and you can also honestly admit that it is a defense mechanism for you, I think listen to how Kelly speaks of softness and softening, because even in your how you show up, like you are a very well-built man who has a very large presence and is self-assured, and still I sense from you just softness, but where I hear hard in a good way, because it feels like you've alchemized it in like a very powerful way. It's like you have achievable goals and you just said, we're going to get there and then we're going to crush them. So there's something for me, especially about a man, like this masculine container that has like shape and strength and substance and sustenance, but also can soften or melt into their heart. But with that said, considering, we've talked about your journey high level, like how did you get here?
Mm.
So who were you before?
Well, the man before they did the work, the guy that was partying and having a good time, larger than life, would have looked at this guy and said he was a pansy.
Mhm.
And in the previous unhealed moments, if you called me full of love and softness, I would have fought you. But now it's a badge of honor. And again, I feel like I need to pay you because you're saying such sweet things, and they're true, and I embody them and I receive them fully. And I almost needed to hear these things because there's no checkpoints where there's attaboy, because we work very hard to not get external validation, but it's very difficult to not get that attaboy, especially growing up the way that I did, where you never got anything. Only acknowledgement I ever got as a child that I was even alive was a punch in the face by my mother and my stepfather. And I'm not saying that to feel bad for me. I'm just saying that to realize how far I've come and how anything can be fixed but dead. So
Mm.
uh ask your questions, as many lots and lots of therapy, lots and lots of journaling, many podcasts, books galore, just absolutely working on myself maniacally,
Mm.
and working on myself like my life depends on it, because it does.
So before even we get there, because I love that and I want to hear the bridge and the journey and the crusade, but you mentioned some form of childhood trauma, some physical abuse, growing up with, unstable household and instability, because to get where you are and then using your tools as you've outlined in your book, which I want to speak to, and also like what you do on a daily basis to like have some form of homeostasis, beautiful, but like, where'd you start?
Well, excuse me. I started with looking in the mirror and just being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Hmm.
I just, there were many years that I just didn't like the person in the mirror. And when I mean that even in the pictures, and the advent of social media, I could see my face. It was blotchy. It was puffy. Every picture was me partying, living a rock star lifestyle, thinking it's cool. And I just got sick of it. There was, it was emptiness. There wasn't enough parties. There wasn't enough friends. There wasn't enough women to feel, to fill the empty, gigantic hole that I had in my heart. And that's why I have so much love to give, because a lot of us, there's so many people listening to your podcast right now, the same boat. And they think that having drinks with their buddies and they die for them. And you know what? I thought my drinking buddies would die for me too, until I stopped drinking, and then they disappear. And you
So
realize
why'd you start? Yeah. So why'd you start drinking? I guess what I'm trying to get at is who was the Kelly who needed to fill this empty? Where did the empty start? Because I think when people think about asking for help or changing their lives, they don't actually sometimes don't necessarily want to acknowledge where the pain began. So, um, when you grow up in unstable surroundings, then you seek to everything else to fill the empty, right? So like at what age, and I loved reading what I did with your book of like violence and family and because what many of us don't want to admit is that like a lot of it happened at home, right? Like,
well, it started as I will flip it around and tell you this. There was never a moment in my life where I felt safe, where
mm,
I felt loved, where I felt secure, or where I felt seen, heard. So as far back as I can remember, it was probably 5 years old. The one and only time that my mother and my stepfather ever acknowledged a birthday was when I was 5, and they played a terrible trick on me where they hid my presents, and it scarred me. I felt like I didn't matter. This it was the I mean, I'm not kidding you. That was the one and only time my birthday was ever acknowledged. 5. And I remember it, and it scarred me, because then
yeah.
after that they become full-blown alcoholics and we're just never around. So
Oof.
uh where did it come from? It came from as early on as I can remember. And the person that everybody loved and was seen and heard was Party Animal Kelly. And he
Mm,
had all the friends in the world, and he was Mr. Popular, and everybody enjoyed him. So you couldn't miss this big 215-pound meat suit with a freaking scotch in my hand, telling people how great I am.
yeah. Well, because if you
Now
didn't grow up with that, then you need to become the loudest in the room so that someone will hear you.
it's the
And so
truth.
I,
Insecurities are loud, and
yeah,
healing is quiet.
yeah. I mean, I think again, like holding that like 5-year-old Kelly, like that I want to give him all the presents in the world because I think, as you said, you'll never forget that. And I want to acknowledge anyone who's listening who has felt that way or has some sort of memory of not feeling seen or heard, and then recreating that environment for themselves to then become the loudest in the room to make sure that they're seen. So, as you said, the healing journey is quiet. And yeah.
Hold on for 1 second. Those are the easy ones, the people that can point to. It's the people that blocked out their childhood trauma or blocked out whatever it is. I think that you shared some of this with me, that you uncovered it later. It's people like you that we really want to. All trauma is trauma, and it needs to be addressed. But if you can't remember it, those are the hard ones. And if you're feeling out of alignment and it's just unfulfillment, and you know that there's something better, let's explore that. That's what I want to create the awareness on. Don't deny it. Don't act like it doesn't exist and flip it under the rug. I just interviewed Stefanos Sividos, and he said that's what most people do. They will keep it all inside until they burst. And that's usually when you get arrested or you have a nervous breakdown, you end up in the hospital, you OD, you do something that's life-changing. So rather than do that, create awareness and actually discuss it. And what was the thing I wrote here? Reveal it, feel it, and heal it. Mm-hmm. So his advice was just name the feeling. And that is 50% of the battle. Instead of sweeping it under the rug, grabbing your freaking social media and going down the scroll hole, taking some cannabis, drinking some drinks, going hang out with your, commiserate with your buddies, and just sit. Says, what was the other thing I wrote down? I just wrote this earlier. I've done a lot of interviews today. It was how you heal this stuff is in silence, stillness, and solitude.
Yeah.
Think about that. Most people won't be in any of the three. It's too scary.
Right. I think you have to really learn to tolerate your own company. In that, I think that's where the self-love piece is.
Hold on. You just said a weird word, tolerate. I think you need to love that company. But it starts with tolerate. That would be the first one. Be okay, not being okay. Name it, and then get comfortable with it. Now I look forward to those days where it's just me, myself, and I.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's why I acknowledge you, because you can speak to love. I don't know that most understand what it feels like to actually speak to themselves in love. So I say the word tolerate because to tolerate your own company, it's almost like a painful word, but you have to start there. And
cringed me a little bit. I went, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean on purpose, because the truth is, when you say, the hard ones are the trauma that you black out. Well, for me, because you mentioned my experience, I had a life that others would want to live. I had privilege, I had success, I had all the things. I didn't know any different. So when I started to sit with myself, I could look at things and be like, why are my relationships working? Why do I always feel this loneliness? But like, it wasn't conscious enough for me to be like, holy shit. And by the grace of God, I was literally led down a healing journey. It wasn't up to me. So I think a lot of it too is about surrendering. Like when I read your blurb about being on Thailand, on the beach in Phuket, and you were like taking shots with Liam Neeson, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And, living this party life and whatever that trip was. And you were just like, fuck. And that was kind of the moment that you were like, I can't do this anymore. Right.
Yeah, but I did it for 13 more years.
Wow. But even so, then I would assume, and maybe not, was there a moment where like you were completely stopped? Because I find that like there's whispers. That was a whisper. I call it a whisper. And then there's a scream. And the scream, if it's not loud enough, it's going to hit you in the face. So was there a hitting the face? Like, was there when the universe was like, no more?
No, there wasn't. And that's what was scary about it, Liv, is here we're talking, I was 30 years old and I was in Thailand, and it was insane. It was, so if you think of the Hangover 2, we did the Hangover 2 before the Hangover 2 was out. Like every single bar that they did, we were at. And this was, 17 years ago. So it was way before The Hangover too. That rooftop where they arrested Chow, we had dinner on New Year's Eve. It was insane. So it was screaming, and I did what I just said I recommended people don't do. I just kept swooping it under the rug. And I'm a smart enough. The one thing that I can put my hat in the hat is I know when the end is near. And I kept saying to my friends, we cannot run this wide open and something bad not happen to one of us, whether it's a DUI, whether it's an accidental overdose, whether it's somebody becomes a full-blown alcoholic. Just insert something bad here. And I just tapped out. And it was just all the times of just people yelling and yelling and yelling. My inner voice screaming at me, stop, this isn't fun anymore. And then really the straw that broke the camel's back was like what you just said about relationships. I kept meeting the same emotionally unavailable woman, and I just wanted them to love me so bad, but they didn't love themselves. So what was I doing? Recreating my mother figure. My mother didn't love me or didn't show me love. She did the best she could. She didn't know how. So I go out and date these same women, and I went, hey, there's 5 straight women in a row. It ain't them, it's me. So I just looked in the mirror and said, it's time. And I didn't hit rock bottom. I didn't do it for any other reason than I said, I got to try something different. And it started with not drinking, not doing drugs, pulling away from all my friends, and kind of just really, what did I say? Putting myself in solitude for the better part of a year. And then when I started coming out of it, the pandemic hit and forced me in more solitude, which I would tell you, and I'm sad that people died, but the pandemic was really good to me. It allowed me to slow down with almost zero pressure to speed back up.
Yeah, I love that because I say similar. It was the greatest gift I was given was the opportunity to pause.
Well, now I will tell you, I wrote about it in the book. I paused, but God, source, whatever, something was going to test me. So my ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend got together and started and tried everything they could to bring me down, to get me to start drinking again. And that's when I doubled down and tripled down. I started hypnotherapy, then I did EMDR therapy, and I looked up at God when it all happened, and I went, you know me, you created me. I'm unstoppable. You cannot break me. I have been through wars, and that was one of them. And they took the best shot they could at the most important thing in my life, which was my daughter. And they won a battle. I won the war. And in the end, I got to be very careful with my words because it is my daughter's mother. But in the end, the 2 women stayed the same. And I'm on the Live Young podcast.
Yeah. I mean, just like hearing that, I feel for their hearts that like just need love. It's like in this human experience.
That's truly compassion. And I hired an emotional coach during it. And she says to me, she said, assume positive intent. I said, what? How am I supposed to assume positive intent when these 2 women are teaming up and literally trying to end me? And she reframed it and said, these are 2 unhealed women who are fighting for survival. And I'm talking about the guard went down. Yeah. And I said, oh, it reframed it. And when we finally were to the point where we were in the clear, I went and met with my daughter's mother, and I asked her 3 questions. And it was to help her. And it was, how can I be a better father? How can I be a better ex-husband? And how can I support her in her relationship? And after 3 hours, that's when the war ended right there. I still don't know why any of it went on. We wasted a lot of time, a lot of money. But at the end of the day, I was a better person for it, and I grew, and I knew that I could withstand anything alone, without drugs and alcohol, and emotionally responsible, so to speak. I didn't react. I didn't freak out. I just responded appropriately and
Yeah.
defended myself. And he who laughs last laughs loudest. And haha.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, back to the lens of compassion, I've been in very shitty situations too with people who have really impacted my life in such a way that it's a constant like checking back in, reassociating with my body, like really violent trauma. And on my journey, I found that the more love I fill myself with, the more forgiveness I can let go of.
Yeah.
Because what separates me from like the truth is whatever is filling that space that isn't allowing for more love. So I give you a lot of credit for being open
Well,
to that
hurt
cycle.
people, and heal people. So
Yeah.
I I send them love every day in my gratitude practice, on my gratitude walks. I'd like to think it's working. I don't know, but at
Mhm.
least I feel better.
Yeah.
There's no way in heck I would ever wish ill will on anybody, because I believe in the karmic law that they will come back to you. So there's no way I would do that. But some of the things that they've done and continue to do are nasty. And why do people do anything? Why are wars happening? Are things happening in the Middle East? I can't explain it. It makes me sad. I just I don't. Some things are inexplainable, and we need to learn from them, but we tend to not learn. And that's what the Harder Than Life mantra, and hopefully the Live Young podcast is about. Is let's just create awareness that we if you listen to anything of us talking, we arrive at the same destination two different ways. You are extremely soft, and I was hard, even though I'm softening. And yet we both are filled with love. We
Mm.
are fulfilled and kind, compassionate, and happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I was a fighter for a reason. Like my business was boxing. So I identify with the struggle as much as I do with success, even sometimes more so the struggle, because that's where I found most comfort. Like I'm good at hard things. I have a sign right on my fridge that says choose easy, because the hard way is typically like the hard way is literally often easier for me. So
Choose easy. I
yeah,
want to steal
choose.
that. I will. It's so fortuitous how aligned we are, because I say I have to be comfortable being comfortable, because
Mm,
my entire life has been uncomfortable,
right,
and I thrive in chaos. I
right.
thrive in hard. It's almost like it's not worth it if it comes easy. So
So
I need to
yeah, in
find.
that, like even recently, I'm embarking on a couple different projects, and it clicked, and I was like, hold on. Why are you again going to seek out this like big thing, go raise millions of dollars to prototype this amazing tool, healing modality, which is really important. But instead of knowing how to serve it, I was going to like create it, like manufacture it. So I had to actually check it and be like, why are you choosing the hard way? Again, you don't need to do that. Like you can do something, choose easy in a way of like always seeking out to like build a business, sign the lease, do the tool, as opposed to just like my tool has become self-awareness. And when I say softening, I think what life allows for, if we allow it, is when we soften into who we actually are. When the armor can like loosen and lighten, we can live from truth, from integrity without any trying whatsoever. Like when you mention things are flowing and you're in this crusade and you're just like driving past and whatever your Lamborghini, being like, wow, look at all the flowers and the beauty and like everything's happening for me. Like that's from softness, right? That's from true alignment. And so my goal now is like choosing easy looks like receiving, not forcing.
So do you think that there's a part of you that still needs to be killed off? And I'm sorry for my word, but it's the only thing I think of, is killed off, that needs to choose hard? Because that's how I feel. I feel like there's still a little tiny Kelly way down in, and we're gonna go there because I told you I'm going to do a plant medicine ceremony next week. That's what I'm going in as. My intention is going to go in and say, what where is that little Kelly that's still creating a little chaos? and
Hmm.
we're gonna love him.
Can I push you?
Hell yeah. Heck yeah.
Um, I would say close your eyes.
Okay. Yay.
Where is the like I'm feeling like deep in your belly, but like deep underneath all of that like unbelievable muscle that you show on Instagram and that some of your followers follow you for. There's some it's deeper than anger. It's a rage and it still lives there. And so I'm curious if you can feel into how old that little Kelly is, who's just so fucking angry still, no matter how much he softens.
You know, there might be a point of when I was really young when we moved into my stepfather's house.
Mm.
And I can't remember it, but it just goes, that's what the image of me showing up there on, and we were not, we didn't, my stepfather said to this day, he didn't know we existed. He was dating my mother. And then he says, why don't you move in? And then all of a sudden, two kids showed up, me and my sister. So right from the jump, we weren't wanted. And it wasn't until, years that I somehow cracked his tough exterior after he quit drinking and was a complete asshole. So it was just,
Can I push you again?
of course.
Is the anger that you weren't wanted, or was the anger that your mother didn't make it clear that you guys existed?
I think it might have been the anger that my mom just didn't love me, didn't protect me, didn't. It's
Yeah,
just
I
it's
get like my whole body just like gets tremors, but
I will tell you the times that my stepfather, and this is why I'm a big guy, Liv. He was a 6'1", 265-pound man, and I was 5 foot nothing. And he would
mm,
impose his will, and I was scared to death. So I started lifting. And my mom, they slept in different rooms, and she would go hide in her room, and he would just freaking wrath on me. And she would never come out and be like, hey, go easy on him or give him a break. You know, I never in all of my upbringing did they cut me slack.
mm,
Now, thank you. I've got to give them the credit because they made me the toughest son of a gun on earth. I appreciate it. I wish I would have learned this. I would have released this earlier because I literally had the chip on my shoulder and I was drinking the poison, expecting somebody else to die. And the quicker that I got to the point where I could forgive them, and then when you really truly forgive your parents or whoever was your oppressor or whatever the word is called, and you can acknowledge the things that they actually did give you,
yes,
you take back your power. That's
yeah.
you. That's your alignment. I can look back and I can think, you know what? You know who gave me, the first person, and I didn't even realize this until I shot a reel about this. The first person that modeled quitting alcohol cold turkey, my stepfather.
Mm,
And he's also the first person to get me to drink. So
mm.
he got me to drink at 9, almost killed me several times. One point was drowning me in a bathtub when he was drunk one time. Uh, and then modeled the behavior of just saying enough is enough. Now you asked about he had 9 drunk drive-ins. 9. This was back in the day when they didn't count them. And not like they do now, 3 and you'd be thrown in the slammer forever. But yeah, I just saw that, and that's what I kept playing in reverse. So, he taught me the work ethic of getting up early, the value of $1, a value of hard work.
Mm.
Did
The
he do
gifts
it?
of trauma.
Did he do it backwards?
Mm.
Yeah. The beauty part about it is, as I raised my daughter, the exact opposite, with all the same values and love, but with love and support.
So
And
I
she
want to pause you for a second because I want to go back to that really young Kelly where there might still be anger and
Oh,
be
there's still anger. You're onto something. I felt it. And
I
I,
yeah, but I
I
want
would
to go hold on, I want to go back to him and I want to hold him and hug him and tell him how loved he is and what a beautiful soul that he has become but always was, and that it was never his fault. Because in everything that you've shared, what I'm hearing is you you were at the wrath of a very angry man who also taught you a lot. But what you never felt safe with, particularly with a woman, was someone who would protect you. So you chasing unavailable love from a woman as a reflection of your own unlovableness was also your need to just be held by a woman that you felt safe with. And so I want to hold little Kelly in his fucking angry rage and tell him it's okay because he's safe. He's
Okay,
okay.
I hope that you do this for a living because you're fantastic. And if I was in a room with you right now, I would squeeze you the breath out of you because
I mean, I feel your
you were
energy. I really do.
spot on. I love it, and I love you. I feel really connected to you right now, and I want to hug you. You're spot on. I didn't. I'm this many days old
Mm.
when I heard that. If you say that I was still angry, I would have been no. I was hurt. But you're right on. I'm angry that my mother never came out and said, "Oh, oh, I got you. I got you. You nailed
Yeah.
it. Good
And I
job."
think with that, thank you for acknowledging me and my gifts. I feel really connected and connected to your heart. I think what we do also in healing and sometimes bypass is that there's so many layers to this. And if we don't allow ourselves to go into the depth of it, we can't fully like experience the expansiveness of what love is possible, how big love can be. And for whatever reason, when I was reading and, doing my pre-session stuff, I saw the word anger on the back of your book. And that's what spoke to me.
I
So
suppose people like you and me dive into this stuff so deeply, and then the people, and I'll just use my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend, won't even peel back one layer. What's
fear.
the difference with fear?
It's just fear.
Fear of change? The familiar misery? Literally, that's it.
That's where there's hard feels safe when you grow up in instability, in unsafe. Like I'm
I didn't feel.
experiencing so
Yeah,
much change.
I didn't feel
Like,
safe.
no, I used to, my whole body, like I would run 5-minute miles, feel like I was being chased by a tiger. And all of a sudden, there's no tiger. And it's like everything's calm. If you never know calm, you're constantly going to choose chaos. So when you shift, I had this with an ex-boyfriend. When I softened and I was like, and we were just at it, and I finally said, "You're right. You're right. Like, I love you. You're right." He couldn't handle it. So he just kept fighting.
Are you still picking the emotionally unavailable guys? Because last time we talked, it was you would just kind of come to the end of it. And how's that been going for you?
No, so um I left my past relationship about a year ago, November 11th, 2022, 11/11 on the blood moon eclipse. Talk about drama. I was like, tore everything out and left. Anyways, I really focused on cutting all relationship out. And I've like casually dated, but my commitment was same as like I would grab a glass of wine or need to busy myself building a business. I would find the next man to date to save me, because I was always seeking my daddy's love. And I always had my father's love, but my dad is an incredible entrepreneur. And the only thing my dad knew how to do was work to make money to make sure that we never had to worry. So my father showed me love in that way, but I needed quality time and attention, etc. So all that to say that I decided not to go back to my coping mechanism of finding my next boyfriend. And literally for a year, I've been single. And for a year, I've been celibate in terms of like, with another person. Because one of my tools in like a healing journey is using vibration to open up all the chakras, like including orgasm. So celibate in the term of not been with a man at all, which is crazy,
You're
but not.
fascinating to me.
I'm a
I,
weird
I don't.
one.
What'd you say?
I'm a weird one.
There's nothing weird about it. That when you're healed, there's nothing weird about that at all. I think getting drunk and drugged and flipping multiple partners one after another, I think that's weird.
I'm with you.
Let's be honest. That's weird. Because everybody's doing it doesn't mean it's okay. That's
Yeah.
what we need to shine the light on it. And really, truly, that's why they say there's one, they call them one percenters, because 1% of the people are willing to do the work that it takes to become that 1%. And
Yeah.
instead, everybody rationalizes and justifies and uses their my side bias and it justifies their own bullshit. And that's why we're in the way we are right now. So kudos to you taking a year off.
Thank
I'm
you.
right
Yeah,
behind
no,
you. I've
even in
been
that,
since
I was never, casual sex was never for me, but I would find a partner because I really want to be married and I really want to have children. And I'm as much like this entrepreneurial warrior as I am a mom. Like I just am. I have that really nurturing side of me. With that said, I never was into casual sex because to me, it's like intimacy is really important, but in relationships, sex becomes such a tool to stay together. Like you can stay in a relationship that sucks for another lifetime by just like you guys get along when you have sex and then when you don't, so for me it became this exploration of like what does sexual energy actually like mean when you're using it in an integrated way, because I believe we create from our sex. Like it's not our mind. When we're integrated, our bodies, like just like we create life from our root, like our life force is where creation comes from. So when you're leaking sexual energy and having sex with multiple people or in a relationship where there's not love and it's just sex, you can't be in your full power. So I say this and I get such a body chill because to me, it's like the most potent medicine is being able to use mind, body, spirit, all of you to serve whatever you're here to serve in full integration, full alignment. So when it comes to relationship, like I'm like welcoming and calling it in and I know he's coming and I will not leak any part of me for any reason ever again, because like I value, this is back to the self-love piece. Like I value everything in me. And I've tapped into a practice that puts you in a subconscious state, like through orgasm. That's not plant medicine. So there's a lot there. But anyways, to answer your question, no, I will not leak any sexual energy because I believe it is like holy medicine.
you said leak sexual energy. I love you. You're awesome. So let's unpack. I shared this with you, and I don't. You may or may not remember, and I want to share this because somebody's going to appreciate this. So the last plant medicine, and I still don't know what the hell I did. I'll find out, and I'll let you know. But it was something very mild and meek, but it opened up my mind, and I was able to unpack intimacy, sex, and love. And to me, the unhealed version, those were all one.
Mm.
Sex meant intimacy, meant love. Like I feel intimate with you, just you sharing that. I feel very close to you. I feel intimate.
Mm.
So there's no sexual energy. There's no sexual tension. I don't need to have sex with you to feel love for you. And I also feel love for you. There are
Mm.
three separate things, and I was able to unpack that. So if the listeners want more information, and I know that you have a lot of information and education on plant medicine, so definitely look into you. You're a wealth of information and knowledge and help and love.
Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to share that with people because it's intense. I mean, you do these things, and now you're in Austin, right? Austin.
Mm.
There's a lot of so Aubrey Marcus is in Austin. He talks a lot about plant medicine and how I think he did ayahuasca, but it's just there's so many healing modalities that you have to try what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for the next person. So
And I would also say in that, similar to your journey, like my advice is do not go for the quick fix. Like
oh
don't just go
no no
drink
no no.
ayahuasca.
That's
Like
the
I
best.
had to, yeah. I
No,
mean,
I couldn't do so. I'll take one. I'm going to just blow your horn more. You are absolutely right. If I would have done any of the modalities of therapy out of order, they would have never worked, because I had to do so much talk therapy just to be open to hypnotherapy. Then I had to go through hypnotherapy just to be understand and create space for EMDR. EMDR was one of the hardest freaking things I ever did. I'm sitting on the same computer I'm talking to you on right now, and I almost broke it. They
Mm.
literally had to stop the session because we were doing
Sorry.
another birthday that my mom came home drunk and decided to beat the shit out of me,
Oh.
and we were unpacking it, and I just grabbed the thing, and the lady's like, "Uh-oh," and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I just burst out in tears, and You want to know anger? I mean, I was sitting here and you see me just, and she said, we need to end the session. You were too much anger. There's too much anger right now. And I used a whole week of solitude, breathing, journaling, and literally sitting in my hot tub, just letting it out, because for so many years, I didn't let that out. I held everything in because there was nobody to cry to. Now, man, one of the best things in the world that I do to release energy is to cry. You know,
Mm.
and I was reading this book the other day and I finished it, and it just talked about believing and mediocrity, and I just burst out in tears because it's just, I'm very proud of how far I've come.
Yeah.
And
And I,
and then I spent a lot of time loving on that little boy that needed love. And the big Kelly, one of the things I do is my parents' house, they still live there, is a little shack in Warren, Michigan, near 8 Mile. And I imagine Big Kelly walking in there and grabbing little Kelly and saying, I got you. I got you, man. You're safe. Look at, you jump in the Mercedes. We'll go to the friggin' house. We'll get food. There was no food in the house. We're gonna feed you. We're gonna love you. And I just do that over and over and over, and it gets better and better and better.
I love that. I did that. I went back to my house in Miami Beach and I scooped up my 6-year-old self who used to hide in the closet, who was just afraid, and I brought her home. And I've had to do that with many ages. I think it's not, if anyone here is listening can and recognize and reference an age where you felt unsafe or afraid, or even in your teens or 20s, like literally going back to that place and rescuing that version of you just to remind them or show them that you're okay, you're safe, and it's going to be okay. Because we do get stuck in these ages. There's parts of us, like when I mentioned the anger and the example, the anger, it's not Big Kelly, it's that anger. It's like identifying and then holding that part of us to show them that they're safe and okay. So thank you for sharing that example and sharing the intensity of which you felt this rage in your body, that you were shaking this computer. Because what I don't know that people understand is the energy is latent within us until we let it go. So much of like plant medicine too. And one day, I don't know, I would really love to hold space for you. And I feel like I know exactly what would be so powerful for you. But there's some medicines where you just let it shake out of your body. You're sort of put in this space, and the emotion, the stuck energy just sort of releases. And I'm not going to say it's painful. It's not fun to sweat and shake for, however long. But this book, The Body Keeps the Score, which I'm sure you've heard
I
of,
read it.
it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's also why, I've had stuck energy in my throat for a long time. I just had body work the other day, and I felt like everything got stuck as she was moving energy in my body. It's a real thing. So if you're feeling pain in any part of your body, take a moment and I think about like what that signifies. Someone I was meeting with yesterday had a lot of back pain. I'm like, how much are you carrying? Like this burden, or this rage, stomach issues, or you mentioned your liver, like, with all the drinking, like liver is also in Chinese medicine, just fucking anger. So that's all to say that our bodies keep all of the information that we need, but I believe the self-love piece is learning to tolerate it, because nobody wants to sit in pain, sit in it and see what it has to tell you. So that's my high level thing of.
Yeah, we got to have you to come. We either going to come to Michigan or to Florida, and we'd do that. I'll take you up on that.
Yeah.
That's why I keep trying to coordinate nonchalantly, but now that we've had this, we'll talk offline and we'll make it happen.
Yeah. I want to just to close this out, because I know that you've become such an embodied person, and maybe your journey was to get strong because you wanted to fight back and protect yourself. But in your regimen, you're very committed to the early wake up, the getting the fitness in before busy days, of both committing to podcasting and creativity, but also your business and your daughter. What does that mean to you to be embodied, to like really, have this routine? Like, is that what sets you up for success or part of it?
Well, I mean, there's successful people that don't get up at 4:15 in the morning. So, everything that I do, it started off at a different time, at an earlier time. So 4:15 to me. You're gonna die laughing, but I've said this a couple times. The reason why I work out in the morning is because when I used to drink, when I went drinking, if I had even one, I wouldn't go to the gym. So I made sure that if I got to the gym, at least I got it out of the way and I give myself permission to go drinking. And then on top of it, I was on this stupid merry-go-round where that as long as I got up and went to the gym, I felt like I didn't drink, I didn't go overboard the night before. And fortunately, a good habit stayed in that I still work out. I just like to get up and I'm my strongest and my most focused in the morning. Again, another habit that I did learn from my stepfather. He was an early riser. He used to say to me over and over and over again, nothing good happens after midnight. And nowadays, you almost never catch me out after midnight. And he was freaking right. He just went about it the wrong way.
Right. He
So,
went, he went about it the only way he knew how,
yeah,
you know. I think
yes,
that's the forgiveness piece. And I have to continue to remember that too, of like wherever the inception of the pain, remembering um people are just people, you know, and that they did the best that they could. And sometimes that was a really shitty job, you
yeah. So
know.
to but they learned from their parents, and I remember his parents, and they weren't very good either. So I will tell
Yeah.
you this much. So my daily routine started out of survival, like everything. And I just picked and choose the parts that align with personal development and personal growth and harder than life and that people want to hear and everything that I've read, and I just add to it.
Mm,
And now it's just become an addictive, a positive habit. And you meditate. If you don't meditate a day, you feel off. If I don't work out, I feel off, and it
yeah.
just works for me. If it works and it's providing good things, why would I stop? How many people something works and then they stop doing it? Like that's just crazy. Keep doing it, and so I keep doing it. Is some of my schedule a little bit insane? Yeah, my assistant literally is stressed out today because she says I can't even keep up with your schedule. How are you doing it? I don't know. I look forward to it. I get to do this every day. I know it's
Mm,
cliche. I don't have to. I get to. This is a blast. This is, I think, my fourth or fifth podcast in the last 2 days, and and I got two more of my own tomorrow with amazing people. I get to do this because I faced my fears and I'm vulnerable. And that's the other big thing is people like you that are going to tell me that I'm full of love and vulnerability. That's winning
mm,
because then I can model the behavior for the next person that this says, hey, it's okay to say that you emptied a piss jar. I had to empty a pee jar for my stepfather. It
mm,
is what it is. It used to trigger me. Doesn't. I get why he did it. It provides again in a sick and twisted sort of way. It provided me that no job is too good, too good, too beneath me. I own an IT company. There's many times that I will go in and I will freaking roll up my sleeves and do a daily work, and my team loves it. And that started by emptying a piss jar.
mm,
Could I have learned that lesson another way? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
but hey, I learned it, and so I get to live life. And I will tell you this much: my life could be halfway through, but I've only just started living. And
Beautiful.
I'm going to live the second half way better than the first half. And we're going to freaking give all the love to everybody. And I have this unique ability to deplete all my love tank every day and fill it right back up the next day and give it back out to everybody, especially those that need it most. So somebody said on my Instagram, why do you engage with these naysayers and these haters? I said, because they need it the most.
Mm,
But I
yeah.
make sure and I love the people like you that give me love and support. I will never, I'm not going to reward the negative behavior better than the positive behavior. And that's why if you ever reach out, the people that support me, which I have a lot of them, and it's what's great about our business, man, once you make friends with somebody, you make friends. There's
Yeah.
people that I've met once and we're connected. I was getting text messages from a guy I met in a mastermind in Miami in May. Just messaged me this morning, bro. Thinking of you, just want to say hi, make it a great day. I was like, that's so weird because I was thinking about him.
Mm.
So we get to do some of the most amazing things, and some of it is, this might be controversial, but this is kind of an obligation. God gave me this gift of this mouth and this oration and this mind and this body. And you said it right. You haven't even met me. When I walk into a room, you feel me.
Mm.
And I'm going to use that for good. And we're going to donate a lot of money to help very needy children as well as addiction. And who knows what's next?
So I'm going to turn this on its head as we round things out and ask you three quick questions. Okay. First, after that, all that beauty, what keeps you up at night?
you know, uh, eh, I was gonna say nothing because I literally go so intensely that I do fall on my face. The other night I was reading in bed with my daughter and I just fell asleep with the book in my hand. That's not healthy. That's a little too much. That means I went too hard, and I enjoy my book time with my daughter. Um, and she said, Dad, I took the book, I shut the lights off, and then I sleep 4 to 5 hours and I wake up and I go back to sleep. I wake up and what keeps me up at night? Love. I went this far because of love. I have done all this work because I wanted to find love, and yet it's still not here. And I,
Mm.
like you, know and believe that it's on its way. So if I'm being truthful and I'm being vulnerable, like I just said, that's the only thing in my that could quote unquote proverbial keep me up at night. Does it keep me up at night? No, I sleep pretty damn good.
I
But
have a strange feeling that I don't know what medicine you're doing. I don't know if it's like plant psychedelic. Anyways, go meet that angry young, and I feel like love is just a feeling. It's coming.
Well, you
Um,
can't work as hard as I say to people like this. I was talking to Stefanos, who's the relationship expert yesterday, and he said you're a good looking guy. You're working on yourself. You're successful. You couldn't stay single if you tried. So the
so
issue
funny.
is
I
that
took a
we've got to work on finding healthy love, and
Hmm.
and that's what I. It's funny to hear you being celibate for a year. I'm not far behind you, and it's just I've been single for two, alone, really, really, really alone since April, and I'm good with it. And I think I needed to do that so I can conquer it because I've been out on casual dates and I know right away it's like, oh no, I got a list, and you don't have to hit them all, but two of them are very important. I bet you they're the same as yours. For me, you have to be working on your mind and your body. That's just if you're not doing that, I'm going to run laps around you because I'm still growing. I don't know who I was a month ago. Let alone the guy I was a year ago. I didn't have a podcast. My book wasn't out. I had maybe 3,000 followers. I'm a whole new person a year later. And I go birthday to birthday. So my birthday is November 24th. So it's coming up. I know exactly where I was November 24th last year. And I know where I'm going to be this year. And it is remarkably different. So uh, it's
in
it
terms of finding healthy love,
it feels
I'm
really
going
good to know
well,
when
well,
it's
no,
not.
no, it's become for me, I don't know about you, it's becoming healthy love. So like I don't believe in finding like it's like everything else I've sought out for has been from a place of need as opposed to have. So when I show up as have, like I am, whatever shows up is a reflection of me. So I'm not finding anything healthy. I'm being healthy love. And what I've noticed is when I felt like, why aren't guys hitting on me? Or why don't I have more dates? And I've now understood that God is literally, He is not wasting my time. So it's like, to me, it's just all like, it's so like deep embodiment and knowing. And I think there, and I have another a sign on my fridge that says, I will not accept lesser crowns. And like when I go out, like, before I even leave the house, I'm like, put on my crown because I know that I can play a part and play a role and be something that looks one way and like acts a different way, or want the relationship. So I'll like pretend, but not consciously, fully consciously. And now when I leave the house, I'm like, you got this, boo. Like whatever I need to know.
Listen to my Jen Gottlieb podcast. It was just it was
I
released.
did listen to it.
Oh my gosh, that girl gets it. And she, I've done that. I've been on dates where like, no, not thank you.
Yeah.
And when I don't drink at all, and I don't mind if somebody drinks, but if you're gonna get drunk, no, that's just a thank you very much. Thanks for playing. I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah.
Probably won't even go to the bathroom when they come back. No, I'm more gentleman than that. But I love that for you, and I love that about me, and it just feels good to be able to look and say that's not for me.
Yeah.
Rejection
Totally.
is redirection, and I agree with you. I believe that most people. That's why I'm so public with who I am, because I won't put on a person. I'm not gonna be play smaller to make you feel comfortable. I'm sorry. If
So in that,
somebody says to me, you're too much or too intense, I just start giggling.
yeah.
Bye.
So it's so interesting. I've lived with that a lot of my life, and when you hear that from a young age, you get smaller because you don't want to make other people uncomfortable. You become accommodating to everyone else's insecurities, and that's a big thing for women when you're told you're too much. So, which leads me to my next question. Your daughter, if you could impart any wisdom, like deep wisdom upon a younger woman, your daughter, you love her, yes, but for all of those daughters, like as this man who's figuring it out and healing and leading with love, but also has this very strong masculine container and success and whatever else, like to the younger women, what would you say?
I would say that there are good men out there. Do not settle. Love yourself. You have everything that you require inside of you.
Mm.
And again, do not lessen yourself for because he's cute or because he's popular. And don't nothing external is real. So when you see these filters, this fits very home because my daughter's 14 and she's grown up with me, and really the last several years of me being in this personal development place where she's a boss. She is, I told her, I'm building a savage, an assassin. And
Mm.
kids are already starting to experiment with sex and drugs and alcohol. She's not a part of it. And I say, well, how come you don't like, how come you haven't been with or talking to boys? And she's like, yeah, I'm just not interested. What am I going to do? Hold hands with them? And so I've done something right. But I would tell every single girl to, you know, get, go to therapy and work on yourself and get better. And then also too, it's the same thing I tell everybody: move your body, get a healthy. If you look good, you feel good, you do good.
Mm.
And all too often, they'll eat like crap and they won't work out. And so I'll share something embarrassing a little bit. Is I am in tremendous shape, and when I am naked, I look good. And so if you don't look good, you're gonna feel insecure. So I
Mm.
once dated someone that would like turn the lights off, and it's like they felt insecure, and that's a you issue. And I just wanted to love that little girl. I wanted to love her little girl. And no matter how much I tried to work with her on it, she didn't want to address it. So love yourself is the
Yeah.
short answer. Love yourself and do the work.
Beautiful. And what you mentioned, ironically, last question, the title of my book and the doors of my fitness studios said, everything you need is inside. So what
Mhm.
does that mean for Kelly? If I were to say to you, everything you need is inside, how would you interpret that for you to me?
Well, in the past, I'd have thought you were weird. Now, what I mean by what it means is that you can supply the love you seek is in your heart right there. So I'll walk around and you'll see me patting my heart because I'm just reminding myself that I am love. I'm not loved, I am love. And I imagine a big tractor beam of a funnel of love that's coming for you, Liv. And you should feel it.
Mm.
And when I walk in, you should feel that I'm safe, I'm masculine, but also feminine, and that I can understand and talk to you about um, vulnerabilities and shame. And I'm not going to judge you. And that's I've learned that and also too, I'm not here to solve your problems. Only you can. I'm here to listen and provide a safe landing place for whoever needs it.
Mm.
And that starts right here with this big ass heart.
Thank you so
And
much.
if you need a big hug, I call them seagull hugs.
Mm.
So seagull smooshes.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. Tell us where we can find you, your social media or whatever you want to share.
Cool. It's Kelly Siegel, not 71, but you type in Kelly Siegel, I'll be everywhere. And it's harderthanlife.com. We're releasing an app. By the time this comes out, we'll have a health and fitness app that is just growing legs. We believe that this is how we're going to be able to meet our donations. We're gonna it'll be free. The app will be free to download, but to unlock a lot of the awesome sauce, we'll call it the Siegel sauce, will be a monthly fee of a nominal fee, maybe $50. We haven't figured out yet. I want to see the final prototype. My IT guys are working on it right now. When I see the final prototype, I'm going to fill in where the value is. I keep having this download of it being the most positive social media experience ever, even though I call it a health and fitness app. There's parts of it that has these feeds, like the social medias that I don't want to say names, but they'll be feeds. And we're going to put some community guidelines in place that says you got to be growth minded, you got to be positive, you got to be uplifting, and you can't be negative. We don't do anything negative. It'll be all positivity. And I can just see people going to Instagram, getting unhappy, going to Facebook, being unhappy, flipping over to my daughter named it Healthier Than Life. It's going to be harder than life, but the sub brand will be Healthier Than Life, and leaving there feeling uplifted
Beautiful.
and full of love. So we're excited about that. Should be out December 1st, January 1st, the latest. And I'm going to be a disruptor. I like to disrupt things.
I love
So,
that. I
and
can
Liv, I
feel
want
it.
to try to get together with you. We'll take it offline, but I want to try to get together with you before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because you nailed something, and I want to explore it. Plus, I want to meet you. I think you're fabulous. You're beautiful, intelligent. How old are you?
I'm ending this now. Thank you so much.